Dude, Genshin's music is so good. Like this is so tranquil, bro. This is beautiful. Okay, let's get on with the video. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back. As the title suggests, we're just gonna be talking about Natlan with everyone's favorite Archon, the DPS power group of all time, Mavuika. We're also going to be like exploring Sumeru because I'm trying to get all my exploration done so that way I can get a bunch of primos to save up for Nodcry, because let's be honest, Nodcry is peak and I'm extremely broke after my fiance just pulled me C2 Mavuika. Was it worth it? I mean, maybe. I have this really cool looking sword that's going to go away in like 13 days. Anyways, before Natlan ever came out, I think a lot of people had like an expectation that Natlan was going to be a nation or a region of like just complete destruction and ruin. Kind of similar to like what's going on with Conria, for example, but probably a little like built better. Also, don't question my team, okay? It's peak. All right, Nahida Kokami for Rina Mavuika, it's peak. I think a lot of people, including myself, also thought that like, you know, Natlan was going to be a war-torn region. I had a notion and an idea that like Natlan was going to be a region that had like inner fighting, where like the different clans that are within Natlan or the different tribes are like at odds with each other. And you know, I think it might have just been my own fault for like thinking that, because looking back, I don't think there was really anything that kind of said that Natlan was supposed to be a region that was just completely destroyed and at war with itself. It did say, like, I know the lore said that like Natlan was a nation of war, but at the same time, I mean, it kind of proved that with like everyone in the nation kind of just being ready to fight with Mavuika whenever it was needed to fight the Abyss, because obviously like it's a nation of war against the Abyss. And you know, to its credit, I think this was like probably the first time that we've ever, I still don't know how to do this, I feel like I've already done this, but I don't know. To its credit, I feel like Natlan really was the first time we were able to see the like effects of the Abyss within a nation in real time. Because thinking about like back in Fontaine, for example, we never really like saw what the Abyss fully did. I mean, we know that like the Abyss had the abyssal whale, but besides that, the whole prophecy thing was something that was happening because of like Celestia and Farina, right? Like Celestia, Heavenly Principles, and the Hydro Archon and the dragons, and blah 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 blah. Like pretty much just that the Hydro Archon gave life to the Oceanids and made them humans, and that's why Fontaine was gonna get, you know, consumed or, you know, kind of enveloped by the high tides and stuff like that. And yes, the abyssal whale was there, but besides the whale being there, it didn't really like affect Fontaine all too much. I think it like sort of kind of had to do with like the rising water, or the water like disintegrating people and stuff. I don't remember. Point is that Natlan was the first time that we ever seen the Abyss like fully envelop a region, right? Like, I mean, we had that really long Archon quest where the abyssal creature in the sky was literally just looking down at us and raining terror with the little abyssal tumors and stuff like that. I don't remember his name. I think his name was like Gareth or something like that. What I remember is that the abyssal monster had like a Lovecraftian name to it. It was really different and cool just seeing the skybox and seeing that abyssal monster dude up there. And then like progressively, you know, Mavuika starts getting the powers of like the different people, the different like heroes of Natlan come together. They infuse their powers into Mavuika. Mavuika punches a freaking hole in the sky. Like, I think it was really cool. Now, I do think that like the storytelling pacing could have been a little bit better. I mean, it's kind of sort of always going to be like that with Genshin, unfortunately. Maybe not always. I think Nodcry is actually going to do a little bit better. And you know, scratch that. To Genshin's credit, I feel like they've been doing a really good job on keeping the Archon quest pretty condensed with just the right amount of information for people who love the lore and for people who don't like the lore. Hoyle, just add a skip button, okay? It's that easy. For people who don't like the story, they can just skip it. For people who like it, they'll, you know, they'll sit there and they'll read it, because we love lore. Anywhoosies, I think that Natlan's Archon quests were a tiny bit long. Like, after reading all the dialogue and stuff, it was about 6 hours or so for these Archon quests, but at the same time, I enjoyed it. Like, I genuinely love when we get new story in this game, and it's very rare nowadays that a game's patch will give you a 6-hour long story every single time for like 4 patches in a row. Again, I always make this comparison, but like I'm a ex-Destiny player. I mean, like I played it all the way through up to Final Shape. If you don't know, that was like its big finale DLC, and now it has like a new DLC where it's trying to basically like restart its saga, but it just doesn't feel the same. And the thing with Destiny is like all those expansions you have to pay for, versus like with Genshin, of course, it is a gacha game and you are probably gonna inevitably spend money on these cool looking characters and stuff. But at the end of the day, Genshin is a free-to-play game with a story that anyone can just pick up and enjoy. And that's just something I really enjoyed about Natlan. Like I just loved sitting there and just becoming engrossed with like the friendship. Like I genuinely liked the whole concept of like friendship and the strength of just believing in your people and believing in each other is enough to like veil against an enemy. Like I don't know, it was kind of cheesy if you look back on it, but I also think it was really good. It fits Mavwika very well. So for the claims that like say that like Natlan wasn't really about war, I would kind of disagree, as you know, most of the Archon quests were about being at war with the Abyss. I think just the community was just a little wrong about what type of war Natlan was under. Now, when it comes to the captain, oh man, anytime the captain was on screen or the fight between Mavwika and the captain, that was just chef's kiss. I am kind of sad that the captain isn't playable, at least not yet. That's how you get that. Okay. I do think that the captain is going to be a playable character in the future. I just think that Hoyo is going to be saving him for a period. Why do I have a sun rotate? Is this part of Mavwika's? Oh, is that Raiden's thing? I'm gonna have to check that again. Did y'all see that? I had like a mini moon rotating around. Is that just Mavwika's constellation or something? Let me see. Y'all saw that, right? There's like something going like this. Okay, I don't know what the heck that was, but anyways, I think that the captain showcase was really, really cool. I really enjoyed it a lot. And again, you know, I am sad that he's not a playable character, at least not yet, but it was just really cool seeing him go toe-to-toe with Mavwika. Another thing that I know that a lot of people had complaints about with Natlan was that Mavwika was basically just kind of like a Mary Sue, where like it was all about her, she solved all the problems, she never had struggles. And I think people who just skipped the story will kind of dismiss Mavwika as that, but she really isn't. At least not to the extent that people think she is. You know, if you read into the story and you like watch her animated short and stuff, you can see that Mavwika got some issues, right? And I'm pretty sure there's even a reference to Yuma Glorp Glorp, Mizuki. I'm pretty sure there's a reference to Mizuki and how like she can't fix Mavwika's problems because Mavwika got too much going on, too much dread going on. I think the difference is that like Mavwika knows that she has like her whole nation relying on her, and that ultimately her and the Traveler are kind of really the only two people that can put an end to the 500-year-long war that they've had with the Abyss. And I think that's why she's kind of sort of become numb to some of the things that probably would have affected the other characters in Genshin more harshly. Like you can tell that she feels for her sister, you know, like she didn't get to grow up and watch her sister grow, and neither did she get to see like her family die off or anything like that. You know, like she basically was forced to grow up and become this powerful figure for her nation. And like we see how much stress that can put on her. And you know, like one of the things I remember distinctly is the first Archon quests were like, in order for Mavwika to save like Paimon, Traveler, and friends from like the abyssal Night Kingdom realm, when like the Night Kingdom was like becoming like engrossed with the Abyss and all that, she, you know, she punched a hole into like the freaking domain expansion that the Abyss casted, but it came at the expense of using up the memories that she acquired, like the mementos and the fragments that she kept after like many years to remind herself of like her tribe's people and her best friends and like the warriors she fought with 500 years ago. You know, she destroyed all of that in a heartbeat just to save like 6 people. And you know, I just think it's one of those cases where like people just didn't pay attention to what the story was trying to convey about Mavwika. And you know, if you didn't really pay attention, I can completely understand how it seems like Mavwika is just kind of there to solve everyone's problems. You know, like she's basically Superwoman. She got no flaws whatsoever. But I do think that they were able to convey that pretty well. Another thing with Natlan, I'm kind of just rambling. This is just gonna be my honest thoughts and opinions, I guess, at this point, right? But another thing about Natlan is that like, you know, this was the time period where a lot of Genshin content creators seemed to kind of step away from the game or just depart fully. And I kind of have, who the hell is Tymail? Sorry. I kind of have like speculation as to why I think it was the case, and I think it just came from Natlan kind of being a little different from like a typical Genshin region. Like we had the different tribes clans when it comes to like reputation and stuff, and like obviously like the character designs were by far the most drastic change from like any other region, right? Kind of a mix of like traditional culture mixed with like modern urban. It's interesting. I mean, Mavuika literally has a dragon bike, right? But at the same time, like she has a dragon bike because the dragon people were so advanced in Natlan. Like they are probably the most advanced species on Teyvat, and you know we haven't really seen that till Natlan. So I can completely understand how it's kind of jarring to see Mavuika on a freaking dragon bike out of all things. But you know, if you read into like the lore and stuff like that, it starts to make more sense. You know, we just haven't really seen the full extent of the dragon's powers. You know, like they did go toe to toe with with Celestia, right? Like ultimately they lost, at least pretty sure that's how the lore goes. You know, ultimately they lost, but at the same time they were a very advanced civilization. On top of that, I think Natlan was one of those cases where it kind of reminds me of Star Wars, right? Because obviously, you know, like Star Wars takes place millions upon millions of years in the future, right? Like they got time travel and stuff like that. Not time travel, but like they can just warp drive to different planets in an instant. And at the same time, all the characters in Star Wars are dressed like they're bums, you know? Like they kind of just got like they're not bums necessarily, but they kind of just have like old-timey clothes on. And I think Natlan was kind of sort of a mix of that, like keeping it, you know, modern but also kind of like traditional in a sense, like tribal traditional. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but you can clearly see that there's like a mix of it, right? Like there's a mix throughout all the characters from Natlan's design, or all the characters from Natlan. Like they all have that design of like herbal traditional past historical mixing. I really don't know what the word is, but I hope you can know what I mean. Kind of got off topic. I really don't know what I'm supposed to be doing anymore here. I had a plan and now I'm just kind of like going in circles, but it's okay. I should probably focus on getting that thing. I don't have to like chart shoot it. Oh, I'm gonna have to put a bow character on field. This is one of the things I hate about exploring Sumeru is how many like times I need to configure my party
Behold.
in order to just do some of these puzzles and mechanics. But it's okay. It's rather simple, to be honest. Oh. Okay. That one. This one. Oh. Okay. Watch this, guys. C2 Maviga. You could probably do this with a C0 Maviga. Yeah, 100%. You could do that with a C0 R1 Maviga. Anywhoosies, like I was saying, I quite enjoyed Natlan's designs. I know that was like a drastic difference, and I think that's just kind of what the other reasons why like content creators did mostly quit, or at least take a step away from Genshin at the time, is just because Natlan really was a little different. Like it definitely stands out. Natlan 100% stands out compared to the rest of Genshin's like design and its lore and its combat and everything. I mean, we have this whole Night Soul mechanic. There's nothing like this in any region, right? Like this is a whole entire different resource meter that's reliant, like that the characters are fully reliant on, right? You have to keep this up and keep this going in order for the characters to even do their abilities and damage. Versus like Nahida, E, Q, boom, Nahida's done. Same thing with Mavuika, but at the same time, she has this resource meter that's not present with like someone like Nahida, Fischl, Kokomi, or Farina, you know? All in all, I genuinely really enjoyed Natlan. I know we have the Nod Cry reveal, and trust me, the Nod Cry designs and the characters that are coming out, it's peak. It's peak Genshin, all right? But I mean, if Nodcry didn't have characters like Varka, Alice, Nicole, Columbina, Syndrome, if it didn't have characters like that, I don't know if the community would be as excited as they are. I know I definitely would be, because a new Genshin region just means new story, more characters, more lore. Like it's always an exciting time for a new region to come out. But I don't know if the whole community would be as excited with Nodcry if there wasn't these heavy hitters in this nation. And I'm not trying to take away from the hype. Trust me, I'm extremely hyped. I'm literally trying to explore Sumeru and get my exploration done just so I can get as many Freemo gems so I don't have to spend my actual money on these new non-cry characters. All in all, I really enjoyed Natlan, and it's just kind of unfortunate because I think a lot of people are going to look back on Natlan and think that this whole entire patch was just kind of a mistake or just a throwaway, but I really enjoyed it. Like, if you look here, I have 95% on this, 99% on here, 95, 100, 89, 78, 93. I don't have anywhere near close to completion on this unless it's like Mondstadt. And even then, I only have this part of Mondstadt 100%. Everything else is like kind of really low when it comes to exploration. Like Natlan truly was the region that I vibed with the most, and I just really liked it. And it's okay if you didn't. Look at me. Look at me. It's okay if you didn't like Natlan. It's perfectly fine. But I do think that it was a little underrated at the end of the day, and I just hope that some people can look back on it and just enjoy it for what it was. That's about it. See ya.